Have you ever wondered if a business's only job is to make money? Well, what if it's more complicated than that? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the expanding world of corporate responsibility, way beyond just the bottom line.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. Think of it like a journey, starting at the very core of a company and then rippling outwards. We'll look inside the company itself, then at how it behaves in the marketplace, its role in our society, and finally, its impact on the entire planet. It's all connected, and by the end, you'll see a whole new picture of what a corporation really is.
So let's kick things off with the biggest question of all. Why does a business even exist in the first place? It's a question that really gets to the heart of how our whole economy works.
For, a very long time, the answer felt pretty straightforward. Make a profit for the owners. Simple as that. But is that really enough anymore? In the world we live in today, has the purpose of business become something bigger?
This whole debate really boils down to two very different ways of thinking. On one hand, you've got the classic shareholder theory. That's the idea that a company's one and only job is to make its owners as rich as possible. But then there's this other idea, the stakeholder theory, which says, wait a minute, a business has to create value for everyone it affects. We're talking employees, customers, the local community, everybody.
And listen, this is not just some theory from a textbook. Right in the middle of the 2008 financial crisis, a CEO named Dan Price at a company called Gravity Payments decided to put this stakeholder idea to a real-world test. And his decision, well, it really shook things up.
Price looked at the enormous gap between what he was earning and what his employees were earning, and he just felt it was fundamentally wrong. He saw that it was preventing his own team from living secure lives, buying a house, supporting their families. He thought it was just absurd. So he did something absolutely radical. He slashed his own $1 million salary way down and used the money to set a new minimum salary for every single person at his company, $70,000 a year. It was a huge bet, basically on the idea that the best investment he could make in his business was investing in his people.
That story is such a powerful lead-in to our next circle of responsibility. What are the duties a company has to the actual people who show up every day and make the business run? Let's look inside the company's walls.
And this brings up a really big idea in modern business, corporate social responsibility, or CSR for short. It's the concept that a company's health is tied directly to the health of society. And the smartest companies get that this isn't just about charity. It's what they call enlightened self-interest. Doing good is actually good for business.
So how does a massive company actually do this? Well, check out this code of conduct from 3M. It's not just a nice poster on the wall. It's a real playbook for how every employee should act. It covers everything from being honest and fair to respecting each other and the planet. It's about turning those big ideas into daily actions.
And this number right here, 300 to 1, this shows you exactly the kind of challenge CSR is trying to solve. This is the pay gap we're talking about. It's exactly this kind of massive disparity that pushed Dan Price to make his move, and it's a tension that is boiling just under the surface at a lot of companies today.
Okay, let's step outside the office and into the wild world of the marketplace. This next circle is all about how a business deals with its customers, its partners, and yes, even its biggest rivals.
Think about it. When you buy something, you expect it to be safe, right? Well, that's not just you being optimistic. It's a legal principle called product liability. It basically says if a company sells you something, they're on the hook for any harm it causes. It's a fundamental responsibility. But sometimes that trust is just completely shattered. The Volkswagen Dieselgate scandal is a perfect and pretty shocking example. They deliberately built a cheat device into their cars to lie about pollution levels, lying to regulators and to their own customers. It was a huge deception that cost them billions and, of course, a ton of trust.
And responsibility in the marketplace isn't just about customers. It's also about playing fair with everyone else in the sandbox. When a company gets too big and powerful, it can be tempting to rig the game. The tech giant Qualcomm found that out the hard way when they got slapped with a massive fine for using their market dominance to strong-arm other companies into unfair deals.
Okay, so moving beyond customers and competitors, we see that businesses are also major players in society itself. This next circle is all about how they interact with our communities and our governments. This is where things get really interesting.
And businesses can be an amazing force for good here. Just look at the Weird Sesam initiative in Germany. That means we together. Dozens of huge companies banded together to offer training and jobs to refugees. It's a perfect example of how the private sector can partner with the public to turn a huge social challenge into an opportunity for everybody.
Now, the relationship between business and government, it's like a complex dance. Governments can use their power, things like economic sanctions, to influence what companies do, and that can have a huge impact. A great example is when many American companies pulled out of South Africa to protest apartheid. That corporate pressure was a major factor that helped bring that system down.
And that brings us to our final and our biggest circle of responsibility. This is the one that includes everything and everyone, our shared home, planet Earth. And on this stage, the impact of business is just impossible to ignore.
I mean, when we talk about climate change, it's pretty clear that business is a major part of the story. Just look at 4 of the key drivers here: burning fossil fuels, soot from engines, deforestation, and even beef production. All of these activities are deeply tied to the way we do business, and all of them pump huge amounts of greenhouse gases into our atmosphere.
So, what's the answer? Well, for a lot of companies now, the big goal is something called carbon neutrality. The idea is to get to a point where you have net zero carbon emissions. You do that by either completely reinventing your processes to eliminate emissions, or by balancing them out by investing in things that pull carbon out of the air, like planting forests.
So, we've gone from inside a company's walls to the marketplace, through society, and all the way to the planet itself. After looking at all these expanding circles of responsibility, what have we learned? What does the corporation of the 21st century really look like?
You know, this quote from a former head of the giant oil company Shell just nails it. He's saying that a company doesn't exist in a vacuum. It depends on society to survive. So, at the end of the day, a business has to be aligned with the hopes and dreams of the world it operates in if it wants to succeed in the long run.
And that leaves us with one last, and maybe the most important question. In a world where some corporations are more powerful than entire countries, the responsibility isn't just on them, it's on us too. As consumers, where we spend our money matters. As employees, where we choose to work matters. And as citizens, the policies we support matter. We all have a role to play in shaping how this incredible power is used.